All right, so did you guys sit around yesterday and watch? I made a point of having my computer out and watching
the presser?
the Peters presser live.
I just saw the clips on the news. Did he say all the right things?
I guess. I tell you, my first impression was he was a much more soft-spoken guy than I had anticipated.
Yeah, he's pretty soft-spoken.
Very soft-spoken, very seemed very humble.
Man, how cute are those little daughters, man? They're
cute daughters, cute wife.
Beautiful wife.
It just seemed like a really humble. I expected maybe a little more swagger, but I'm not saying this in a negative way. I think it's great. He just was, and I was listening to Ben Stanek as I was driving in. I was listening to his pod, and he's like, he wasn't like Ron trying to win the press conference. He was just being average, being a normal guy, humble.
It's like a quiet confidence.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's and who knows, he could be totally different behind closed doors.
Well, I'm sure he's a tough guy. I mean, he played football at UCLA.
Yeah,
but
he's probably very confident in what he does.
He's got really nice hair.
The only caveat I'm going to say, and this has nothing to do with because you watch him and his pedigree is like impeccable. When Josh took the mic, and we could hear this clip in a second. One of the things he said is that. He won everywhere he's been, right? The guy won in New England, or he's part of that program, part of the program in Denver, obviously part of the program in San Francisco. Only thing I'll say is, and he's obviously got this great track record of guys he's drafted. I remember it's different. He's not the same character. But when we brought in McLuhan, everybody was like, oh, we finally got a real personnel guy. We finally got a guy. Mm-hmm. And all those picks in hindsight were a disaster.
A lot of them
so
were.
It kind of goes back to my original statement when I've been down in the dumps that the stars have to align. You got to have the right coach, the right GM. Your picks have to hit. Your free agent, you know what I mean? So
I saw somebody jockeying McLuhan yesterday on social media that he was behind drafting Baker. And they were like, see, this is why McLuhan drafted Baker Mayfield.
Well, he did 2 years of drafts here, and they were literally horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
was he like part of like the Geist draft?
I can't even remember.
Some other guys just didn't work out.
I don't know if he was still around for Geist. I think that might have been a Bruce Allen helm draft pick.
Oh, Darius Geist.
Yeah.
Well, let's go through some of these clips. Let's start with number 2, where Josh Harris is talking about why Peters was the choice. And it does seem, I agree with you, B. I think the fix was in right off the bat. Yeah. That the other guys, they were show ponies.
Yeah.
They knew who they were targeting. They knew who they wanted, and they got him. So here's the owner, Josh Harris.
So we set out to find a leader, someone who could take this franchise to the next level and build an elite team that consistently competes for championships. In Adam, I think we have the right leader. He's a winner. He's made an incredible impact everywhere he's been, starting obviously with the New England Patriots, on to the Denver Broncos, where they won a Super Bowl, and then at the San Francisco 49ers. Together, we are committed to restoring this franchise to the highest levels. Adam, again, we're excited you're here, and now time to get to work.
Mm-hmm. So initially there were 5 GM candidates, and then it went down to 2 between Peters and Cunningham, who was from the Bears. Let's play clip 10, because Josh Harris explains how he's different than the others.
Let me just say the one thing where he talks about, and he's giving him credit for New England. He was a scout in New England.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, that program won, and so he's been around winners and everything, but I don't think, he's the reason why they won a ring.
Did he scout Tom Brady?
I don't know.
He was giving Belichick names. Say, hey, these kids are good.
Okay.
So maybe that's
Listen,
the
I'm
way
not
you
trying
can
to
look
be
at it.
negative. I like him. I'm excited. But just keep
never get scouts.
Wishes he had him running his draft room over the past 2 or 3 years instead of him.
Right.
With the results that he's had.
Look, he's part of the team. Did you happen to see the clip? I think Grant posted it, of the Rams war room when they drafted Puka.
Yeah, I've watched it like 4 times.
Yeah.
I get so sized for it because they're just sitting there in their, that the Snead and McVay, they just kind of exactly figure out who this guy is and how they can make him work. And Snead especially talking about how Puka, doesn't test well, but when you watch him on the field, he just beats guys. He's got game speed.
Mm-hmm. It was a good collaboration.
It was great. It was great.
Anyway,
go play that clip.
here's him talking about what was different from Peters than the other candidates.
Yeah, look, we were obviously blessed with the opportunity to talk to many good candidates, and I would say that there were a lot of positives of each one of them. And like I said, at the end of the day, our vision's really aligned relative to alignment, excellence, focus, work ethic, and then being very people-oriented in terms of talent. And so, we decided to go with Adam. Adam also, even though he's, I guess at 59, I can say someone in their mid-40s is on the young side now, which is unfortunate for me. But notwithstanding his young age, he's been in the NFL for a long, long time, and he, is ready for this. This is really what he was ready to do, and so we sensed that through the process.
I think the biggest thing is that if the Redskins or Washington football team had reached out to Adam Peters 2 or 3 years ago, he would have looked at the phone and he would have said, Commanders. It's like, I'm not taking this interview.
Right.
I'm not even going to waste my time.
Dumpster fire organization.
But they targeted him. He's the top guy out on the market, and they landed him with the quick.
And he's thrilled, and I'm sure we'll play some of the clips just real quick of Adam talking. I'm sure you guys saw that after that presser, Josh was up, and I'm sure he flew to Philly, and he was there at halftime, and he was sitting there courtside with Dr. J. They had some sort of deal.
Oh, for the Sixers game?
Yeah, there was some sort of thing. And listen, that's obviously, and he also
Embiid balled out.
I saw that.
He also owns, obviously, we know the devil. My head would be spinning if I owned, and I'm sure he's got
3 different teams.
Oh my God! Like,
where do I go? What's the schedule? Where am I going today?
Got that? Like the Sixers, that's a full-time job, times 100.
Yeah, but it's just like multitasking your 3 kids when they all had activities.
It's
you
just
figure
part
it
of his
out.
portfolio.
I know it's a much smaller level, but you're like, okay, I got a lacrosse game over here, got a volleyball game over here, I got a piano practice here.
I couldn't do it alone, and the only reason I can do it is with my wife. But I just don't know how. My head would be spinning trying to oversee. Like, I'm sure he's not doing every single thing, but oversee this organization, oversee that organization, oversee my hockey franchise.
He's got one in England too, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he have a soccer team in England?
Yeah.
Well, it helps you can jump on the private and just go wherever, get there in 30 minutes.
He's a big delegator.
I'd be mentally, I would be Swiss cheese. I mean, there's no way I'd be able to do it.
He's a hedgy fund billionaire, and you're not. He's cut out for it, and we're not.
I'm not cut off for
yeah, that's what it is.
That's
just the way he's wired correctly.
I could run multiple professional elite franchises at the highest level.
Now, there's probably stuff that we can do well that he can't.
I mean, I could be entertaining. He's not entertaining.
There you go.
He's a dud.
There you go.
But that's way easier than managing.
But my point is, he's been doing this forever. He's been doing this for years. He's owned these teams. Now, obviously, with Washington Commanders, he just got it. But there's other teams he's owned for years, so he's used to just the dynamics of it and the travel.
How do you compare? I know beyond the travel, Jason, just my personnel guy's not really getting it done here, or my scouting department sucks over here, or my stadium sucks here, and I need a stadium here.
Well, I'm sure he's got assistants.
Yeah,
he's got help.
Insulated with advisors and people he trusts to help him navigate.
I have anxiety just
and
thinking
look,
about
they don't always make the right decisions.
No, of course they screw up, but still, at the end of the day, he's running successful franchises. I don't know how you do it.
Let's get to Cakes' point. He's talking about a couple years ago, Peters wouldn't have picked up the phone, but Peters talked about, clip number 17, why he chose this GM opening, because he was the hottest name out there, so other teams would have wanted Adam Peters to run their organization.
It was everything to me. This opportunity with this ownership group in this place, I can't tell you how much that meant to me and our family. And that's why when this came about and I got to meet with everybody, right away I was all in. I probably wasn't a very good negotiator, but I told them I was all in. And that made it easy for me to pass up other opportunities, which were great opportunities as well. But this was the best opportunity in my mind in the NFL.
I would love to know how the money factors into that decision too.
Mm-hmm. Let's play clip 7 because it's a similar theme. Him talking about why DC, why the Washington Commanders.
Well, everything is the answer to that question. Everything is exactly what a person in my seat would want. Great ownership group, a great fan base, the ability to start new with a new coach. All of those things were so appealing to me that really going through this process, it was very clear to me at a very early time, right when I met with Josh, this is where I wanted to be.
So, you've always been kind of reticent to give Josh Harris praise, and he certainly doesn't deserve any yet.
Well, I just don't know. If
just him being in charge versus Dan Snyder seems to have attracted a really high-quality candidate to be the GM.
Yes.
so far, so good.
Well, and then also above that, getting Bob Myers and Spielman in there to kind of put their brains together.
I really like the idea of adding Myers.
So, yeah, that's
Although I think he was there
good decisions on paper.
solely to bring in Peters. But yeah,
Hey, but if that's what it took to help land him,
I like it.
absolutely.
And we did kick around yesterday. Well, now they have the GM. Is he picking the coach, or is Josh Harris picking the coach? Is the advisory board picking the coach? Here's what Peters said, clip number 12, in terms of what he's looking for in a head coach.
We're looking for the best leader for this team, for the Washington Commanders. And so we have set criteria that we're going to have it be aligned in that vision. And it's not going to be in a box. It's not going to be offense. It's not going to be defense. It's going to be the best leader for this organization. I think in any head coach and any leader, it's just leadership. Leadership, great communication, being able to be honest, direct, and upfront, have all those qualities, and they're all intertwined. But those are the main qualities. You have to be very smart. You have to be very driven. There's so many different qualities that make up a great head coach and a great leader. But really, it's just about being a great person, a great human being that people will follow.
I don't totally agree with that because I do think that Ron Rivera was a great person.
He was a great
and
person,
people would
and
follow.
people were trying to hype him up as a leader.
Yeah.
And I think he actually was decent in some ways with that. But I did find that striking, too, because oftentimes organizations kind of go from players coach to tough guy, whatever, leader to offensive guy to defensive guy. We just had a so-called leader.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really work out.
Yep.
Well,
the biggest thing is
bad at coaching and maybe even worse at picking the personnel.
Well, the biggest thing is you got to land the quarterback. And in the end,
Wow.
Ron Rivera for 4 seasons could not get that one position right, and that one position drives everything.
Well, and then it's also the other guys that were in the front office,
Yeah.
the Herneys and Mayhew. What were they telling Ron?
Well, they didn't help that much.
That's what I mean. So they could have been telling Ron, these guys, this is the guy to draft, this is the guy to sign.
We have to have Emmanuel Forbes.
And
in the
Ron
first
has
round.
no idea.
Right.
It's not like he's a college scout and he's listening to all these people that he's working with, and they just made bad decisions.
He wants to just chime in on the Peters situation. Devin, what's up, buddy?
What's up? Good morning, fellas.
Hey, man.
Yeah, like I was just thinking, as a millennial fan, I've been through this. Like, everybody scores on their presser. So now I'm at the point where it's like, let's just see what you do, because at the end of the day, I'm just happy and optimistic because we finally have the opportunity to go get the best available. And why wouldn't this be the best job where you could come with a brand new ownership? We are a historical franchise, and you can put your mark on it and say, I was a part of it. And then we got $90 million cap room, second pick. Like, why wouldn't he come here? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a no-brainer. But I'm just optimistic for the future. I'm not making no allegations or wins or anything. I just feel like we're moving in the right direction finally, and I'm going to just enjoy the ride.
I hope
we can get the
so.
right people.
I mean, a lot of
hope
fans
so.
feel that way. Yeah.
But,
They do.
Drab and I were talking about it during the break. Remember how pumped we all were when we hired Scott McCloughan. And we said a lot of the same things. Now, we still had Dan. We still had Bruce, and that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And turned out ultimately impossible to overcome. But I remember saying, we finally have the right process. We finally have the right guy. We got a football guy making football decisions.
Well, and also think about when they
Scott we trust.
yeah,
when
and
they-
it was a disaster.
when they
Scott's
traded
jacket.
up to draft RG3. Remember how excited fans were?
Yeah, sure.
RG3.
Well, we've been excited a lot of times around here.
But I mean, specifically with that quarterback.
Yeah.
And, you weren't thinking about how bad an owner Dan was at the time. You were thinking, all right, this is the guy. This is the guy for 10 years.
And honestly, Dan hired McLuhan because ESPN did a piece on him.
RB3.
If you remember that.
I wouldn't doubt
ESPN
that.
did a big-ass piece on him.
Didn't he had like all the sheets? They were using his cheat sheet, and so instead of just buying the cheat sheet, they hired the person that made the cheat sheet.
They say that Bruce was using his little draft pamphlet.
I think he did,
to make draft picks.
I'm
God, what
gonna
a disaster
Let me
this
print
organization
Darius Guice off this crib sheet I got. I peeled off my Coors Light can.
They
Now,
also
I'm
had
sure-
a guy, though, from San Francisco before, and Vinny Serrato.
Well,
Yeah.
He's now a radio guy.
Well, he was.
Is Vinny still working in radio?
I think he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's been pretty successful.
I always got a kick out of Vinny. I thought he had a good personality.
But Vinny was, I don't know if he was the GM for the 49ers?
maybe player
I don't know what his
personnel
job
guy or
title
something.
was.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he had GM
Player personnel guy.
title.
But yeah, that was supposed to be a
but
big
he was
one
pretty.
here.
He was pretty high
But
up.
people universally mocked that one too. Yeah. And because like no one hired him after he was let go here, right?
Yeah.
Did the Ravens hire him at some point, or he just worked in Baltimore like on radio?
No,
Can't
he
remember
just
what it
works.
was.
He does middays in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Middays.
He was
somebody.
promoted to director of player personnel in '95 with the Niners.
Right. Remember he
That was
worked, I
his
think,
title.
at Golden or at Notre Dame.
He was at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And San Fran, and we thought we had him, and everybody just mocks Vinny.
I can't remember. Was he given GM title here?
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, remember, he was Dan's guy. He was Dan's racquetball partner. And,
Yeah.
You know.
He was fired by Shoddy,
Right.
but then rehired.
No, it's basically like Eric playing in the same group at Norbeck like every day, and then saying, "Hey, why don't you come host the show with me?"
Right. Just some hack golfer coming in just because he's pals with him.
Right. It's just, listen, I'm excited. I think Peters looks like he's the right guy. It makes all the sense in the world, but, you know, he's got to deliver.
Yeah.
You got to get lucky.
Now
I'm
the
sorry.
pressure's on.
You got to get lucky. You got to pick the right guy, quarterback, as JP says over and over and over. Now, I don't think it means you absolutely can't win. You probably can't win a big one, but you know you can still find a way to plod through some 8-8, 9, 9-7 seasons or whatever. But you got to get that one right.
I believe our pal Richmond John said we should put out a T-shirt. I get Sice for Peters.
Why? Sice for Bryce, Sice for Peters? Well, I don't even get it.
Sometimes people call their wiener a Peter.
Yeah, who? Like 4-year-olds?
Yeah. Leave the T-shirts to us. We'll come up with it. You know.
Yeah, I'm not wearing that. I'll get size for Peter. Who's going to wear that?